In this video, I give you a practice problem with graphing in vertex form. So what I'm going to ask you to do in this video is to look at this parabola, this quadratic, and I want you to identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, whether it opens up or down, and whether it opens narrow or wide, and then graph it. And what I'd like you to do now is pause the video and solve that problem, and start the video when you're finished. Well, hopefully now you've finished this problem, so let's look at what our answers are here. Well, the vertex here is going to be HK. So in this case, the vertex is going to be a -4 and a +5. The axis of symmetry will be x is equal to -4. This is going to open up, and it's going to be wide. And your graph is going to look something like this. So if you've got that problem correct, then go ahead and stop this video now and move to the next problem. If you need to review this problem, then what I'd like you to do is watch the rest of this video and we'll step through this problem step by step. So let's look at the problem. Y is equal to 1/2 x plus 4 squared plus 5. And the first step is to find the vertex. The vertex will always be HK, and this is the H, and this is the K. This is the H and this is the K. And the H changes signs and the K does not. So the H changes from so that's the +4, so it becomes a -4, and the K is a 5, so it becomes +5. So that's the X and Y value of the vertex. The axis of symmetry is simply a line that goes through, a vertical line that goes through the vertex. It's always going to be x is equal to something because it's a vertical line. Vertical lines are always x equals something, and it's going to be x whatever h is. So it's x is equal to -4. Now let's see if it opens up or down. Well, the rule here is if the absolute value of A, not absolute value. If A is positive, if A is greater than 0, then it's going to open up. Like this. And if you notice here, A is 1/2, so it's positive, so it's going to open up. The other rule is if A is negative, then it will open down. And the last step is whether it's narrow or wide. First, let's make sure we know what we mean when we say narrow or wide. A narrow parabola is going to look like a parabola that looks like this. It's narrow. And a wide parabola will look something like this. And it doesn't matter if they're up and down, up or down, it's the same idea. This is narrow and this is wide. And the rule is fairly straightforward. The rule has to do with the absolute value of A. If the absolute value of A is greater than 1, then it's going to be narrow, at least compared to x squared. And if the absolute value of A is less than 1, then it's going to be wide compared to x squared. If A is equal to 1, and if the absolute value of E is equal to 1, then it's not narrow. Then it looks like x squared. It's not narrow or wide. I guess I should put the like underneath, right? So if you look at this problem right here, this is 1/2 here. The 1/2 absolute value of 1/2 is less than 1, so absolute value of 1/2 is equal to 1/2. And 1/2 is less than 1, so we know this is going to open wide. Now how do we graph that? If you look at a problem here, first we graph the vertex, what we did, -4, 5. Then we're going to put the axis of symmetry, and then we choose some table of values, and it doesn't matter how you do the table of values. Generally the way I do is I put the vertex in the middle, that's -4 and 5. In this case I chose one number that's larger than -4, I chose 0. Since the distance between -4 and 0 is a distance of 4, then I want to go backwards for 2, so I chose a -8. And if I do these two numbers will be alike. How did I find the y value? I simply plugged in x equals 0. So I get 1/2, 0 plus 4 squared plus 5. Remember your PEMDAS rules. You want to do parentheses first, so that's 1/2 4 squared plus 5. do the exponents. 1/2 16 plus 5. 1/2 of 16 is 8, so that's 8 plus 5, which is 13. So I got 13 there. If you plug in minus 8, you also get 13 as well. And you just plot the points and sketch the graph. And that's how you graph in vertex form.